Alright, breakfast has been fed, fire's been started, chores are done. Time to do some work in the shop. Hey guys, I'm Matt. Welcome to Cobb Hill Farms. Today's video, I want to finish up this Bobcat 743, resealing the hydraulic control valve spools. I want to get this out of the shop because I got another project that I want to move in the shop that just might surprise you. This Bobcat belongs to a friend of mine in the fire department, and the story behind the hydraulic leak out of the control valve spools goes back 3 sets of seals now. The first set of seals that were done in this machine were done by the owner. He went through and replaced all the seals, 2 seals per spool, and there's 4 spools. It lasted for a couple weeks. Then he called me up and said, hey, this thing's leaking again. Would you be willing to take a look at it? So I went and got it, brought it home, and sure enough, it was leaking from around the tilt spool on the linkage end of the spool. So I took it apart, and there were some things that I didn't really like with the seal. He had installed this single lip directional seal, the latest and greatest part number, or latest and greatest seal. So when I got conversing with the Bobcat parts guy, who I've known for a long time, so we talked about it back and forth about which seal to put back in it, because according to the serial number, this machine could use either one of these style seals. So I opted to go with, again, the newest and latest part. So I put a set of these single lip seals in, replaced all 8 of them, and it lasted for several months. Well, he called me up and said, hey, this thing's starting to leak again. This time it was leaking from the lift cylinder spool. So this time around, I'm gonna go with my tried and true seal, the one that I'm familiar with. Replaced a bunch of them over the years, and we're gonna put this quad seal. Now, I didn't take the control valve out of this, as you could probably see why. It's buried, and it's pretty difficult to get to. So I've got the first spool down in there. That would be an auxiliary spool. There's 2 auxiliaries, and then the lift and tilt spools. The first spool has already been installed, so I have the other auxiliary, the tilt, and the lift spool to put in yet. So I have everything all laid out nicely on the bench in order, so I know what order it goes. So let's first off remove this old seal, get that out of the way. And then I like to use a little bit of Vaseline, as I've said before in other videos, on anything hydraulic related, because it acts as a lubricant. It'll hold seals and such in place, but then as the oil warms up, this will literally melt away into the oil. And we'll ever so gently slide the seal on over all these grooves, paying close attention to not to try to cut the seal in any way. Now, you probably can't see very well, and that's why you're not going to get a whole lot of filming done on this job, but this spool goes in the bottom port, or second to bottom port on the control valve. And then it simply has this bonnet to retain it in the control valve. And then I use a series of long extensions to reach way up in there, get my bolt started. Yeah, we'll snug them up, but try not to get too crazy with this 1/2-inch ratchet on about a 1/4-inch bolt. All right, and then just like on the back side, we're going to slide the spool seal on the spool, get it pushed down in as far as we can, and then use our spool retainer to get that seal seated in the rest of the way. The seal retainer is flush with the outside housing of the control valve housing. This simple boot is used. There's a brass ring that is used to help retain the spool seal retainer in position. So we'll get this slid on and get the bolts put in, and then we'll have 2 of them done. Okay, we got all the spools in. Now probably can't see very well, but all 4 are in and hooked up. And here's a look from the back side. Not very good viewing, but the very top spool and the very bottom spool are your 2 detent spools. The top one is your lift circuit, the bottom one is your auxiliary circuit. The 2 in the middle are just naturally spring centered. There's no detent to those. The top one is your tilt circuit. The bottom one is a secondary auxiliaries that's not hooked up to anything. So all back together. Alright, we'll give it one more look over just to make sure I didn't miss nothing. And I think we should be good to go. Alright, I did, for safety purposes, have the ROPS tied to the rafters of the garage here because it couldn't quite go over center. The ROPS couldn't quite go over center to the point where I didn't have to worry about it coming down on me, so I tied her off up here and you don't have to worry about it no more. It's time to put some hydraulic oil in her. She is a little bit low, according to the sight glass. Not surprised, because there's a bunch on the floor. It's almost impossible to catch every single drop that comes out of these things because it runs out of every crack underneath this thing. Hopefully we got enough in this 5-gallon pail. Well, I guess I want to prevent that from ever happening again. I got oil all the way across the shop now. All right, let's try this again. Keep an eye on the sight glass. 27, 28, 29, 30. And yes, I did have a safety arm on this because you never, ever, ever want to work on a loader in the air and not have it being properly supported by a safety stiff arm like this. Especially if you're going to disconnect any lines or pull a spool out of the control valve. Well, is it gonna run? Let's find out. Let's see if we have any massive leaks at this point. Looks dry all around the spools. Yeah, there's a bunch of oil sitting at the bottom and stuff, but that's all from taking lines off and pulling the spools out, and they'll have to get a good bath, but looks like the spools themselves look dry. And the best part about snow is if there was an active leak, I'd see it. And I don't see nothing. Looks good and clean to me. Let's see what the cattle are up to. It's been a few days since we put that new round bale in for them. And I'll tell you what, they've been a lot quieter since that bale's been put in. I think they like it just a little bit better. Well, before we go too far, let's see if anything has made this its home since the last time I looked in it. Nothing in the grass seed hoppers. How about in the big hopper? I don't see anything yet. Looks like maybe the bounce dryer sheets did their job. Sweet. Well, I was going to try to put this in the shop with the tongue on it, and I knew it was going to be close, but it's a lot closer than I want it to be, so I figured for the few minutes it's going to take the tongue off, we might as well just take the tongue off and make it a little easier. Hopefully it's the last bolt. Grab that side, Logan. Pick up that. That's good for now. That works. Since we took the tongue off of it, I guess I got to put some jack stands underneath it to support it so it doesn't flop over on me. Okay, set it down slowly. So what on earth am I going to do with a grain drill? Well, I'm going to plant some grain. So I guess I just better let the cat out of the bag now. The 26-acre field that I just finished mowing a little over a week ago now, a couple videos back, well, that's 26 acres of 30 total acres that we are renting next year. It's funny how things just kind of happen. The timing of this land becoming available and also the loss of our steady ear corn supplier really gave us an opportunity and a thought of we need to jump on this because one, land doesn't come available very often, and two, we need to be self-sufficient. So with that being said, we're going to get into doing a little bit of grain farming on our farm. We want to grow our own corn, grow our own wheat or oats for straw, and for the grain crop to be able to use, and I don't know, whatever else we decide to grow year to year. But that's a direction we're going to go for now, and we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. And I can't thank the landowner enough for allowing us to have the opportunity to do this, because there's plenty of other great farmers here in the area that certainly could have went in and done a really, really good job. But she chose us in the end, and I'm grateful for that. So we definitely want to make the most of this opportunity and do the best we can and just be good farmers. I got to go through this grain drill. The metering mechanisms all need to be freed up on both the grain side of things along with the grass seed hoppers that are on here. I want to get this fully functional so when it rolls out that door, it'll do everything it's designed to do. So in the next series of videos or so, we're going to go through this thing A to Z and make sure it's ready to go. I'm really looking forward to more seat time in the tractors here in the future, doing field work. It's something I've always enjoyed doing. Did I ever think I'd have the opportunity to do it for myself? No, I really didn't, but here we are, and I'm really excited about this opportunity. So I hope you'll click that subscribe button if you haven't, and follow along on our journey of getting into doing more field crops and just staying along with us. So if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you like our channel, as always, we ask you to subscribe. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time.